Welcome to So You Think Your Car is Fast, where we dive into the world of high-end, fast cars and explore what it truly means to have a fast car. Join us as we put the pedal to the metal and discover what it takes to have a car that truly lives up to the title of fast.
And we're back. So You Think Your Car is Fast, Season 1, Episode 24, right?
Yes. We're having trouble counting that high, but yes.
We've done
Somehow.
24 episodes. That's almost one a week. No. That would
Two
be
a month.
Every other week.
Yes.
But we started late.
And we had like 4 or 5 in the shoot when we first rolled them.
We did. Then we went a month without doing a single one.
Well, we've done we started in March, right? So that's 7 months.
Yeah.
And so if we did every week, that would be 28. So we've got 23.
Sadly, we've had far less content and event coverage than what was initially planned as well.
This is true.
Well, I'm sorry that I got whacked in the head on the last one.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking about. I mean, we haven't even gone to half the events.
It's been uneventful, but we'll get back to it. We'll get back to it. I got an email or a text from Steve today. He got back from vacation and
oh, good.
He got back onto my car today, and he's gonna give me a heads up. Let me know. I think we've moved on to cleaning the ejectors. I don't know if you guys remember in Kansas. As we do, we run out of gas, right? In events, doing a wide open pull. And it completely clogged the T1 fuel filter. And fortunately, I had a new element. We put a new one in, no problem. I think I made a couple more runs. But we're thinking that maybe something got past the filter, and maybe an injector is clogged. So we're gonna test those now. So that's the next step on trying to figure out what is wrong with my car. So.
Well, it sounded like when it started getting into boost that one of the cylinders just quit firing, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Not so many things that can cause that. I mean, you've got compression, you've got air, you've got fuel, and you've got spark. And so, we're fairly sure there's spark. We're fairly sure that there's air. Last time I looked, we could breathe, right? So fuel, well, maybe. that's the question mark. It's kind of hard to know. So digging into it.
So he tested the O2 sensors. I think he swapped them, see if they were, just make sure they were right. They were. Plugs are good. Coil packs seem to be fine. So now he's just moving on to fuel. So, but now that he has all of his attention, I think we'll get it worked out, get it figured out.
Well, I sent him a text today, but I haven't heard anything back.
Yeah, he's a busy man.
I'm glad he got on your car.
Well, I'm sure he's on yours too.
No, I just sent him a text and was like, "Hey, welcome back to reality."
Ah, okay. He must know we're talking about him.
Well, we've got a driver source hat in the house. I was looking around for mine. I'm not sure.
Yes, I have actually several now.
I only got one.
I have a dark blue one. Actually, I have 2 dark blue ones and a gray one.
How many shirts do you have, though?
Driver source?
Mm-hmm.
I have that one that Dan gave me when I dressed up as Steve for Halloween.
Oh, that was great. I love that.
Yeah, do you remember that picture?
Dude, we got to find it, man.
Yeah, Manny, you got to find that picture.
Oh, boy.
And then, let's see. Seems like Steve gave me one not too long ago.
Oh, okay.
So just 2.
Nah, that's plenty.
Yeah.
So let's talk about purchases. We have
purchases.
We have some purchases. We want to talk a little bit more in depth with a couple of new purchases for you guys. We're going to go over my garage build progress. We can talk about other activities that's going on. So we talk about first, Dan, you?
Yeah. So, I came to the realization that my car is no longer fast because it doesn't run. I've been sending the memes of sad Pablo, where he's standing there alone,
right,
field, looking off into the distance and sitting on the swing all by himself. And I sent that to John Bray today because I'm sad that that's looking like my chances of Abilene are slipping away. So I decided that it was time to get rid of the 991 GT3, and Taylor and I came to the same conclusion like almost at the same time. And I think, at least from my perspective, him coming to that same conclusion to sell his kind of we didn't really talk about it, but it like kind of self-validated my desire to sell it too. I'm like, yeah, I think it's time. And the reason for that is it's a great car. I love the car, but they're getting older. They were known to have some issues with the cams, and they put a hydraulic lifter and a 9,000 RPM rev limit on the GT3 for the 991, and the way that they essentially band-aided the issue, because for those that don't know, if you have a hydraulic lifter, you essentially need a stiffer valve spring versus a non-hydraulic, like a solid lifter that you space yourself. You set the gaps yourself on it. And then the higher your rev limit is, essentially the higher spring rate you need also, because you have to be able to return the spring to close fast enough. So it just requires more tension. And so those two things together, and trying to run it at 9,000 RPM, Porsche decided, well, we're just going to put a DLC coating, or a diamond-like coating, on the cam lobes, and that is going to protect the cams from the extra pressure, and there shall be much rejoicing. And then if you rewind to the 991.1 Cup cars, Porsche actually put Mezger 997 engines in them because they could not get the new engine to qualify to pass the durability standards that they need.
We're not going to get like a cease and desist from Porsche, right? Like,
no, I mean, this is all public knowledge.
These guys telling everybody our dirty laundry.
This isn't anything that isn't public knowledge. Maybe I have it more concise than if you try to read 100 pages of it on the internet. But I mean, that's basically it. And again, there's nothing wrong with the car, but I'm afraid that if I do with it what I really want to do with it, which is run it at the track at 9,000 RPM for a couple of hours a weekend, where it's literally sitting at 9,000 RPM for a couple of hours, that those cams will fail. The 10-year engine warranty is coming to an end, and I just didn't want to deal with it. So, the street-driven ones don't ever tend to have a problem. It's the tracked ones that do, or sometimes, I mean, it's just like anything else. I don't know about you guys, but every time I've ever coated anything, whether it be like a heat-resistant coating, or whether it be a visual coating, or whatever reason you coat it, they never last forever. They never turn out like as well as you hope they will. And I think it's kind of like that with the cam coating too. So yeah, I got the 992, traded the 991 GT3. And the reason I got the 992 is because I really, really like the way Porsche redesigned it. They moved the intercoolers, they moved the airflow for the turbos from going in the side inlets over the tires to actually the intercooler air came in the side inlets. Now it comes in over the back of the car and goes down to the intercooler in the back in the engine bay. And I have given
like old school air-cooled turbos.
Yeah, it is a little bit. I think I gave Manny a picture of this.
Okay, my reasoning for getting rid of the GT3 was a little similar.
So why don't you tell us about your reasoning? It's interesting that we didn't really talk about it that much.
So I mean, the thing is that the GT3 was a car that I bought for my wife, and when we bought it, I was really excited because it was a GT3 and it would complement a turbo really well. My wife liked it. She liked how it looked, and I thought, well, this is a perfect way to get into a GT3, because honestly, I don't think I would have bought one myself, because it just doesn't have the torque that I like and that I'm used to. So when my wife decided it was too raw of a car, like too firm, too low, too everything, I thought, well, fine, I'll keep it. But then I don't know. I miss driving a torquey car on the street. And so I started thinking about that. I had one guy tell me one time that out of all my cars, he beat me if I was in my GT3, and that was probably true. And then my son and I went to Carson Coffee one morning, and we lined up at a 50-mile-an-hour roll, and his Mustang just gapped me, and I was like, maybe it's time. So it probably had more to do with, its torque and its capability on the street, and then I justify it with the fact that the 10-year warranty and depreciation, and I hate to say it, but I do kind of think the values will take a dive, at least for a little bit, right when those 10-year warranties stop.
I'm trying to picture this. So you raced your son, he was in his Mustang, and
Yep.
you were in your GT3.
They went to Starbucks in Mexico.
And as he passed you, he had a sign in the window that says, "Sell it."
I mean, no. but I was like, oh man. The thing is I had a C8 pick on me one time with the GT3, and I punched it. And you know what? I mean, I walked away from the C8, and I was surprised, but I was like, the GT3, you get it revved up, and it'll go. It's not totally gutless. And so I thought, well, my son's got this Mustang, and we're going 50 miles an hour already. I'm sure it'll be at least equal. My son's Mustang has a Whipple blower on it, so that matters. But I mean, he just walked away from me like it was like I wasn't even trying. And I was like, wow, that car's a lot faster than this one. So I like the 991s. And I had a real debate on if I was going to do a 991.1 or a 991.2 turbo. I mean, my idea was not to keep it stock. This might be the first car that I'm buying where I'm like, it's not staying stock. But I just want a bolt-on package, basically. Like I'm going to keep, my plan was to keep the VTG turbos and, just make a fun little street car. And I was going to go with the 991.1 non-S to save money there and do a bolt-on package. But I was fortunate enough that I found a 991.2 that has it has some benefits over the .1. Little better fuel system. I think the intake side is a little bit different. I think it's on the heads. Transmission works a little bit better, and the Turbo S model in the 991.2 does have bigger turbos than the rest of the 991.1 and the 991.2 turbo non-S. So that's what I ended up with. I bought a car that was already bolt-on, and now it's going to the shop to let's call it reliability modifications.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, a 991, full bolt-on VTG, you're pressing your luck on clutches, and I think your rods are at least questionable. So we're gonna make those not as questionable.
Oh, good. Doesn't even see it, sends it in for a built motor. Nice. Good job, Taylor.
So built motor, I don't know.
So is this like the motor like kind of comes apart and they stick rods in, but they leave the crank and bearings in place?
I mean, I don't know what
the whole thing comes out.
Well, I think they do. I think they do head studs also.
But they don't do anything to the heads. Leave those alone.
No, and you know what? I mean, I'm okay with it, and I'm okay with just like an 8-plate Dodson too. Just all I'm gonna do is have a fun VTG turbo car. Now, the turbos that are on the car are the older version of like the VTG 68s, and they've got better ones now. I don't know what the specs are, but we're gonna update those turbos too. Yeah, I sent the pictures, and then I also added the. Is it bad that the guy I bought it from, I didn't tell him it's going directly to a shop?
No, it's your car.
I know, but it's gonna come up, right? Because he's gonna be like, "Hey, so
what do you think?
Delivered yet?" I'm not just gonna ghost him. That'd be weird.
No, you just say I sent it off to another shop to be modified.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see. I'm getting some work done before I get it.
I mean, I'm excited to get it because it's a lot more car than what I was expecting to buy. It does not have an aero kit. I cannot join the aero kit fancy club. One
that
of
a
them
big
that I was
power
looking at, actually several of them actually there's a lot of 991 turbos on the market right now with the aero kit,
Oh,
but the sellers are different people. They're very difficult to work with.
997s or 991s you're talking about?
991. Did I say
991.
997?
I don't know.
no, you said
I don't
991.
know either. Sometimes I don't know what I'm saying.
Sometimes I don't know what anybody's saying and I have to ask. Yeah, so the aero kit on the 992 and the 991 is pretty much very similar, I think.
Yeah, it is very similar. And I like it. Don't get me wrong. I think the aero kit's cool. I guess I just put more importance on other stuff.
Yeah. Well, I got obsessed by it because I wanted one from my 997 and they stopped making them. And in the 997, I don't know what it is on the newer ones actually, but on the 997 you have to get an entirely different rear trunk or rear deck lid.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not cheap. I mean, like they were like $7,000 just for the rear deck lid and at the tail end of their availability. And I was just like, the value proposition is not there.
Yeah, that's one of those things you got to get it with the car.
Yeah, so there's a photo that Manny has of the 997 turbo aero, and it's just kind of a rectangular shape. You've got the bottom of the rear wing, and then there's a space in the middle, and then there's a top wing. And for whatever reason,
Was the dot one the same as the dot two aero?
Yeah,
On the
yeah,
997?
yeah, 997.1 and .2 aero.
It's a fixed wing too, isn't it?
It is.
And it's not dissimilar that much from the 996 Aero, right?
It has some similarities, like
Looks
the
like a
double
taco.
looking. Yeah.
Now, for reasons I do not fully understand, it generates more downforce than the stock wing, but it does not raise the drag coefficient of the car. And they do say that if you have that aero wing on the back, that you need to have the matching lip on the front, which I also have a photo of here from Manny. And the way you can tell them on the 997s is that they're generally, from the factory, they were painted the same color as the car, whereas the non-aero lips were the dark gray, blackish plastic, like the unpainted look. And so, I don't know, I always liked that a lot, which caused me to want one on the 991. And I was looking for a 991, just like Taylor got, basically. And I had that little moment of insanity where I said, well, I could just buy the 991 and then I could have all three cars, right? That just sounded a little egregious. So I said, well, if I sell the GT3, then I can get the 992 turbo, which is the car I really wanted.
Did I hear you saying what wheels does that 992 have on it?
It has BC forged wheels.
I like BC forged wheels. I have those on my 997, and then I also had them on my Raptor.
I realized that after the fact that they're the same brand as yours, because I was looking at the center cap logos and I was like, oh, that's what Taylor had. Yeah, it's a different design. I like the wheels on your car, the design better. I don't think these are the ones I would have chosen, but the overall package of the car was hard for me to turn down because there was two things that I really wanted in it. I wanted the aero kit just because of, I think, just previously having wanted it and not even been able to get it for a reasonable price. And it had the titanium exhaust already with it, which has Helmholtz resonators built into it. And the Helmholtz resonators are interesting things. I thought that would be something that would be kind of fun to talk about. Everybody's taken the old glass Coke bottle and blown over it, right? And you get that, that humming noise, like that humming frequency that you get out of it. And so what they do in the exhaust is you build an exhaust, you drive the car, you put a microphone in the car, and you measure the resonant frequency of the exhaust, like i.e. drone, right? And then what you do is you do some fancy math, and it comes back and tells you how large of a tube you need and how long it needs to be. So basically what they do is they put a closed or a capped tube that feeds off of the main body of the exhaust. You can see it in the photo that Manny's putting up for us. They looks like they're bypass tubes for like a valved exhaust where that's an extra channel for air to flow through, but it's actually capped on the end. And then what that does is just like blowing through or over the top of a Coke bottle. As the exhaust blows over that Helmholtz chamber, it creates an inverse wave, which cancels the audible frequency of the drone. So if you do it right, it's a essentially drone-free, much quieter exhaust. So I'm kind of hopeful. I'd never heard of this company R1 Motorsport, but I noticed that Jared, who looked at the car for me before I committed to buying it at BBI, it was literally 5 minutes away from BBI. It couldn't have been any smoother. He just drove it over there. Jared gave it the thumbs up, and then the salesman drove it back to their dealership. But Jason, who was on the last episode, he knew who they were, and Jared knew who they were. I guess it's a California thing. Found them on Instagram. They seem pretty reputable. So and the quality of the welding and everything looks great on it. So, that, and then it also had an M Engineering flash tune and flash tuner and everything with it already. So I was like, gosh, maybe I don't like the wheels as much, but I can always change those. Those are like the easiest thing on a car to change. And I don't know how much that titanium exhaust is, but I know it's not cheap. It's got to be at least $6,000 or $8,000, I would think. Probably. And then the flash tune's another $3,500 if you don't go and beg Mitch on the side of the road. So it just seemed like pretty much what I wanted to do. The only thing I really want to do with it maybe is a little bit of change on the wheels, and I'd like to get an intercooler upgrade on it since it's so ridiculously oppressively hot here in Texas. With that tune-up, they're supposed to make 720, 740 to the tires.
I know, it's so dumb.
Wow.
And one of the we were talking about it a second ago, but the main reason I like the 992 so much is because of the way they changed the airflow. And so the intercooler air, you can see in the picture Manny's putting up for us now, it's a silver 992. The intake air is like the blue lines coming down the back of the car. And then what ends up happening is the air goes through the intercooler, which is actually horizontal in the back of the car, and pushes it down through the intercooler, and then the hot air goes out between the two exhaust tips in the back. And then they bring the turbocharger inlet air and the side inlets. And it makes a lot of sense because we've had a lot of issues with air intake temps in our 997s, and people have them in the 991s too for the same reason, is because over 130, 140 miles an hour or so, air doesn't flow through the intercoolers anymore. Like a high pressure area backs up right at those side inlets, and it just bypasses the air around the car, and the air doesn't flow through the intercoolers anymore. And so, we went to air to water intercoolers just mostly because of a packaging issue. Like we couldn't get intercoolers where we needed to get them, or big enough ones to get them where we needed to get them to get enough air through them. So the air to water intercoolers kind of alleviate that problem. This kind of does too. I don't know if you can get 1,500 horsepower where the air through that intercooler in that location. There might be other packaging issues there, but for a stock car, just the way they put it all together, the way the cars are built and sound and just everything about them, I really liked the 992 generation when I saw them. I thought it was a big step forward. And
who has the fastest 992 out there right now? Is it ESmotor?
I just saw that ES put up an 992 in the quarter.
In what, do you know what package it is?
Yeah, I can tell you here in a second.
Is it an ES 1000 or something?
That's a good question. I don't really know. The 991.2 Turbo S has bigger VTGs. The 992 Turbo S has bigger VTGs in I'm saying in comparison to the non-S.
To the non-S,
model.
yeah.
But if you're going to upgrade the turbos anyway, I don't know that it matters so much. But I kind of wanted to stay with the
it actually does
turbos.
because the turbine housing is the difference. And you, I mean, there is a difference. You'll have to decide if it's worth it to you. But that was one thing that I was looking at, because there was a point where I was like, well, I'll just get a 991.2 non-S. And then I realized oh wait, those are the smaller turbos. So if I want to stay VTG, I still send them out, and I'm still handicapped with the smaller turbos. So
Well, you can't get it in if you can't get it out. So those
true.
smaller turbine housings will hold you back for sure.
All right.
Bless Joe's heart. I have talked his ear off so much over the last couple weeks.
Dude, Joe's great to talk to.
He's a nice guy. I mean,
all right. So I found the post from ESmotor. Fastest 992 Turbo S ES 900 package in Russia ran a 9.07 quarter mile with a 1.39 60 foot. And yeah,
wow.
that's knocking on the door of.
Wait, what did you say? Did you say 1.39 60 foot?
Yeah, 1.399 60 foot.
Yeesh.
Well, supposedly
what does that feel like?
That's insane.
The new cars do a lot better on the short track. I don't entirely know why. They changed the gearing in first. They did make the gearing shorter in
More
first because
usable.
they have 8 speeds now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and there's some changes too in like in the front differential. Like it can put more power down to the front and some other things too.
They backed it up. They ran 3 consecutive 909, 908, and 907.
I wonder if that's a stock motor car.
I'm sure it
stock
is.
engine. Stock engine.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Car has completely stock engine, gearbox, clutch, and ECU. Whoa. Intake manifold. Results speak for themselves. Back-to-back 3 runs. Wow.
Yeah, those 992s are just.
Well, there you go, Dan. You should be expecting a 9.0 out of the box.
Yeah. You know, I don't think I run 9s very often. I had a 1999 Mitsubishi Eclipse that I got into the high 9s in the early 2000s, like 2001, 2002.
That was fast back then.
It was really fast back then.
It's fast now. I ran my 996. I had the 996 into the 9s. It was 9. I ran a 9.8.
Ran like 143, 144 miles an hour.
Oh, this is
fastest.
I ran a 9.8 at like 155 or something.
Yeah, well, you were saying that car did what, 139 60 foots. My Eclipse was doing like 151s, 148s in that range. Which with a a 6-speed. It was a 5-speed manual trans, in that car, right? So
that's impressive though, guys. That's an ES 900 package from ESmotor. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you know, these cars, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. They're going to be going hybrid really soon, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't know though. It seems like there was somebody that released something that said Porsche said they're going to keep the 911 internal combustion as long as they can. Although that's kind of a throwaway statement, right? Like as long as they can. What does that mean?
I think the next version. The next version is going to be a hybrid.
The 992.2 will definitely have hybrids in the lineup, from what I was reading on the internet scuttlebutt. But
maybe that's what they'll do, is they'll combine both of them in the lineup. I don't know.
It'll be like, you know, you've got a Carrera, you got a Carrera 4, you've got a Carrera 4S, you've got a GTS. They have so many different models. Some of those will be hybrids, and then, you know, probably I guess they're gonna have to skip 993 because there's already 993s. They're the old ones, right? So the new ones will be 994s.
Yeah, they kind of got some different. They had to mess up their numbering.
Yeah, their nomenclature got a little muddy. But the 994s, I'm assuming they will be at least hybrid electric in the turbos, and I'm guessing that the only thing in the 911 lineup that won't be will be a 994 GT3, right? 994 GT3 be like a 4-liter or maybe a 3.8 liter normally aspirated engine. I don't know. If I had to guess, that's what I would guess. And those cars will be $500,000 when they roll off, because everybody at that point will know the game's up.
And they just get faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, what are we gonna get? A 600 horsepower normally aspirated 4-liter.
Right.
Isn't that what the just released GT3 something something at Rensport?
Oh, the GTS
Or-
GT3R.
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, wasn't it 611 horsepower?
Yeah. $1 million.
Yeah, and that's in race car format where you have to rebuild the engine every 40 to 60 hours of operation too. So
Oh, that's not a street car?
no, I don't think so.
No, I don't think it's street legal anywhere. Actually,
Oh. Who the heck's going to buy $1 million race car?
hey, did I tell you guys I went to the Mecum auto auction here in Dallas
Yes.
when they were in town last
What'd you
weekend?
buy?
I didn't buy anything. I did register myself to bid, but I didn't bid on anything.
Was it Mecum? I thought it was something else. What's it?
No,
what's
it
that
was
other one?
Mecum. And
The
man,
Houston
you know
one was
what?
on today.
I'm gonna make that a yearly event. I loved it. It was fun. Just like they've got the guy that's working the bidders right in the audience. Like, come on, you can do $1,000 more, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you've got another guy that's on the phone with the guy that's selling the car to get him to take his reserve off, and it's fun.
I went to the
It was
one
fun.
here in Houston where Steve was selling his Bronco. And it's a cool atmosphere.
Yeah, it was. And there were so many cars. It was at the Kay Bailey Hutchison Center downtown. And I mean, my dad and I walked through and looked at every car they had there from all the auction days.
Wow.
It took us like 2.5 hours, 3 hours just to walk the
lot.
venue and look at all the cars. I mean, it was crazy. So, but that was fun. Fun time.
So were there any potentials for you? Like anything did you have to show like a bank statement to register? What you
Let's see, what did I do? I had to do something. Like I had to give them access to my bank account, or there's like a couple different ways you can do it.
Oh wow.
And I gave them authorization to debit my account is what I did. And then I put down whatever dollar amount I said they could debit it for. And it seems like there were some other ways, and there were some limits, right? Like if you just got on, you could give them a credit card and they'd like put a $5,000 hold on your credit card. I can't remember what it was. There's a couple different ways. I did it just in case, but they had a 991.1 Turbo S that went through, and then they had a GT2 RS, which was cool, and a GT3
we talked
RS.
about that one. I remember you were saying they wanted like 400 and something thousand.
No, it sold. It was like for $390. I want to say.
Oh, that's right. It was low.
The GT2 RS, but then
you're gonna
whatever the
10%
auction fees are on it, I think it's 10% at Mecum.
Mm-hmm. That's another $40,000 on top of that.
Yeah, so it's
was the 991? What did the 991 sell for?
I don't know. I had to leave before it went across. It didn't sell, which there's a lot of people out there with 991.1 Turbo S's that are valuing them way too high.
It just seems like there are more S's than than you know what I mean? It's like every turbo is an S, it seemed like.
I don't know. It looked like it might have been a private seller car, and the private sellers are not really aware of the market, it seems.
Neither are the dealers. It's weird because Grapevine Porsche, I went down there before I bought the blue one, trying to buy a blue one that they had, but there were some things about it I didn't like. Not least of which was the price. They want $279,000 for that blue one they have at Porsche Grapevine, and the same car is for sale in 2 other places in the country for $30,000 less. And I
feel like Porsche Grapevine, they pride themselves on putting their prices up there, even the service department.
I don't understand. I don't understand it. I mean, I guess if you think about it, if you're the salesman, you I don't know. I mean, if a customer says, "Look, your price is too high. Here's 3 comps." I'm not even asking for less than what is, listed in these comps, what these at other Porsche dealers, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, that's just not representative of the market here." And I'm like, "Well, you're the market here." So
yeah. The localized market is less and less of. I mean, people are buying cars out of state all the time now, and it's not even high end cars. It's like whatever. I had a buddy that called me. He's like, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying this car out of state." It was just like That sounds bad. A regular car. I'm just saying everyone's shopping. The world's smaller.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The world's a lot smaller than it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's causing some problems, right? I mean, in some ways, it's kind of bad that everybody's talking to everybody because we're finding out a lot of people disagree about a lot of things. But if you
Yeah.
look at it over a long enough timeline, we're actually making it's a little bit painful right now, but a lot of progress is being made. You know, it's just like you dump the hot water in with the cold water. It takes a little while for things to even out.
Mhm.
And it's happening in the car market for sure. You know, they know in the back of their minds that they're high, and they're just hoping somebody who isn't paying attention to the market comes in and buys one. Doesn't want to hassle with having a car shipped in. But I mean, you know, if they're $30,000 high, I mean, I can go buy my daughter a brand new car for $30,000, a nice brand new car for $30,000. That's ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to do that. You know, I guess they do have some people that are more detached from value for the dollar, and they see what they want and they buy it. But you know,
Yeah, we're definitely in a transitioning market where some dealers are still drinking the Kool-Aid, and then some are like, dude, we have to move product, and so we're gonna start dropping prices. And that's what I saw in my search.
yeah, Grapevine got another car for two. They said that the original MSRP on it, it's a 2023, was 270,000. It's used. It has 1,000 miles on it, and they want 300 grand for it.
Yeah, I don't.
And the salesman, he was trying to help me, bless his heart, I guess, but he was sending me like sales proposals, and we were $50,000+ apart. I'm like, Finally, I told him, like, look, I bought a car. It is on its way here now. Like, you don't have to keep sending me these extremely high priced cars. And then he didn't believe me when I told him what the price was, and I sent him the the link from the dealership to the listing, and then it was just crickets.
Yeah, same thing. I had good sales guys trying to do their follow up, and hey, what do we need to do? And I'm like, look, I don't even want to insult you with an offer because you're so far away from what I'm finding. I just don't think we can. I just don't think we can get there.
There's a couple of natural factors going on right now. One of which is we're just at the tail end of car season, right? Everywhere else in the country, car season's over.
Yeah.
Here in Texas, car season is maybe March to November. And other places they've already winterized cars and put them up in the garage for next year.
In Houston there's no stopping.
There is no. It's just 12.
Houston, we're gonna winterize this. You're gonna what?
We have our favorite meets are from November to March.
Well, those are the only ones where it's not 95 degrees and 110% humidity.
Yep.
Houston has its own battles. I can smell Houston when I'm 75 miles away from it.
We get a little armpit sweat, don't we?
You can smell it. I swear. I don't know if it's the armpit sweat or if it's the refineries. Houston also has no concept of zoning, which I'm totally into freedom and do what you want, but let's not put the hotel 80 feet from a oil refinery where you open your blinds and you're looking at all the chemicals blowing out of the stack coming at you,
You're just talking about Baytown.
Yeah, I am talking about Baytown. It's ugly. It's bad.
Ugly.
All right, so what are we doing for Abilene, guys? Are we gonna make it?
I somewhat floated the idea of bringing the 992 to Abilene.
You gotta bring the 992. You got it.
And she didn't seem stressed by that. So
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you can bring the 992, right?
Heck yeah.
I'm just gonna put it on the trailer and pretend it's red. And so I did send in a rules waiver request to Nicene to see if I could put a manual transmission shift knob.
No, sir. You may not. I am telling you.
It has been. Other people have gotten it done, though.
Other people have gotten it done. That guy, what was that guy's name? Buddy something? The guy with the
Camaro.
Camaro, and he had sequential. Well, you gotta move the lever to shift it.
Good job, buddy. Good try.
Yeah, he took my first place.
Well, I mean, to answer your question, Taylor, I mean, Steve's got to figure the car out. So he's
Yeah,
got
I guess in the next week, me and Todd are gonna know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, I would have said that yes on mine easy, but for some reason, everything that I have done, regardless of how small it is, it fills up whatever time window
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
I mean, so we'll see. I mean, I did just get a text from Steve just now.
Oh, what do you
Oh.
say?
I mean, nothing, because I didn't really ask for an update. I was really just trying to make contact, because there's a couple. I think I told you there's a couple things on my list that I know he's going to text me back and forth, being like, "What the crap do you want to do here?" Because I tore my front lip off the car, and I know
right.
that lip back on we're gonna have to get creative with it. So I think he says he'll have a better idea of what's going on tomorrow. He got back at midnight last night. So,
Oof. Well, he's probably
that's fine. I'm headed out of town later this weekend anyway, so whatever. But
Yeah.
I would like to get it back so we can ensure the transmission is dialed in. I mean,
And-
I think it will run fine the way it is now. I will just be short shifting a little bit.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you have the ability to adjust the shift RPM?
Mitch can.
Mitch can.
Yeah, and that's what I would like to do, but that's going to require some time because I need to get the hardware and then involve Mitch and tuner and everything. But I figured if we get it on the dyno at Steve's, get it all tuned, we can at least see where my power band is and how big of a deal, or where we should target the shifts anyway.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea where you're supposed to shift that engine, John. That's a John B thing, right?
Well, the problem that I've had is that the last year we've been chasing problems, trying to band-aid everything, and I, so I don't know. Right now, I think it's shifting pretty much at stock shift points, which is like 68 to 6,900 RPM.
You need to go high. You need to go to 7,500, 7,700. I would
Probably,
think.
and I have that. I have that on one TCU, but that TCU has some things that it seems like they're a little too aggressive for streetability, causing errors. So we're going to have to, I've talked to Mitch about it, and he's ready to do stuff too. I just need to get the car back.
Well, hopefully you can get it back in like within the next 2 weeks, because then you can have a little bit of time to play with it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping.
Have we booked hotels for Abilene? Do we need to do that?
I have not booked hotels. I have not even entered.
I'm not even registered yet.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
I'm going to stay in the RV. I mean, I'll stay in that RV park that's across the street.
You know what the best way to make a race is? Buy a car that the only thing you can change is the tire pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I bought the GT3 originally, is because I was afraid of going down rabbit hole 2 cars at the same time. But I've been historically pretty well behaved about that. I've only ever had one modified car at any time, other than I got in trouble for putting the exhaust on the GT3. But I don't really consider that like modifying car. It's just kind of like,
Yeah.
I joke and say cars are my vice, but they literally are.
Yeah.
I can tell you why not to modify all the cars you have.
Well, it's problematic when they all misbehave at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
How many cars do you have misbehaving right now, Taylor?
Well, let's see. I have 3 cars at home, and only 2 of them are mine.
3
One
cars
of them's a loaner.
sounds like a good number, right?
I have 7 if you count my daughter's, but she's off at school with it. So
yeah, so that's not good. That's less than 50%.
Yeah, although, like I was telling Todd, I've received positive news today on some of them. So I think we're finally making progress.
So Taylor, did you tell us when you think you're going to get your car back?
I don't know yet. I don't know.
I meant the 991.
Yeah, I talked to Joe today, and he's getting everything written up and stuff, and then I'll bug him next time I talk to him about
turnaround.
At one point, we were talking about just doing basically an ES800 setup, which is bolt-ons, and he told me turnaround was 3-4 weeks.
So there's a chance they could bring it to Abilene?
No. Because it's different stuff now. So I think part of my wait time will be parts supply. So I really don't know.
Maybe by the end of the year.
I hope so. I mean, I hope so, because he acted like it wasn't what I was wanting. Isn't that big of a deal that they do it pretty regularly.
Okay,
So we'll see.
cool.
He
Do
should
we have-
he should have my car by, see, what's today? Tuesday. He might get it tomorrow, latest Thursday.
Oh, so it's en route as well.
Yeah. He said they've got what's the race they have going on? Pocono?
Pocono?
Oh,
Pocono.
the race motive.
Pocono?
Yeah, Pocono. I was like, I could see the word in my mind, but it wasn't. Yeah, so they have that they're doing, and then I think Florida 2K is coming up at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So he said they are busy, but they can get it in. And
Well, what you ought to do is try to time it so that when you pick it up, there's another one of those race motive races. You can fly up there, do a race motive race, because it's not too far from AIM, right? It's nearby, isn't it?
How fun would it be to do one of those races with an 800 horsepower car, though?
I mean, it's probably better than not doing one at all, and having Joe and the AIM team there.
Honestly,
it's a good
I
time.
don't know what this car is going to make. It already makes 840.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Taylor's is telling us it's gonna make over 1,000.
It should make 1,000.
I think they're going to call what I'm doing ES 900, but I don't know what that is going to make.
I've learned that the ES numbers they're not real numbers. They're like, if they say it's a 900, then it's more.
Maybe it's crank, maybe not crank numbers, but maybe it's wheel numbers,
It's like, well, it's like really low wheel numbers. It's like,
yeah, I don't know how they do it either, because when my 997 was ES 700, I don't think it made 700. I mean, I don't
made more. I think it
I think it was less than that.
Huh.
But I don't know. I never put it on a dyno. I don't know. I can't remember what Joe told me, but the thing is the power it makes right now, the 840, is on, like 100 octane plus meth, and it's walking a line. So I'd be ecstatic if it makes 850 but safer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think it should.
Mitch was telling me the 992s will make over 800 with methanol, but I don't think I want to put methanol on the car at all. I just want to run it on good old.
Here's what happens with methanol.
Octane.
You don't want it. I was so happy when I got rid of all the methanol on my cars, and then you go do one event, one data log where your intake temps shoot up, and you're like, nah, I'm putting methanol on.
Can you easily convert the 992 to flex fuel?
Don't know. No idea.
You might have some serious gains with just ethanol.
I think the issue is that it's a direct injection engine. It's the descendant of the 991 direct injection engine. So, I mean, I think the fuel system probably flows more than the 991 fuel system does, or maybe it's the same as the 991.2. But that's where you run into limits is being able to flow enough fuel, and then you need, maybe it'd work really well with like E30. A lot of people do E30.
Yeah, it seems like
30% ethanol.
Somewhere there was that's kind of a pain though too, because then you have to make sure you're getting the right amount of ethanol in, which is dependent on two things: how much fuel you actually have in your tank at the moment of putting ethanol in there, and the ethanol content of what you're putting in. It's juggling, man. I ran a tune like that in my old F-150, and it was eventually I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna put it in here.
You're like a lab chemist. Ooh, I mean, is that enough ethanol? Ooh, is that enough? Yeah.
I used to just mix it in my garage. We'd get like an
some of the fueling stuff is problematic.
Yeah, nowadays I don't want to be the gas master and be mixing fuels. It's no fun.
Well, even my TRX, I put a smaller pulley on and fill it up with E85, and then I hear that I have to drive up to Oklahoma to go get a side-by-side that's broken, and I'm like, oh, crap, now I got to tow, and I'm not going to tow on E85, and you can't get out to Podunk, Oklahoma and fill up with anything decent. So then I have to change the pulley, flash it back to 93, and got to make sure I, use the whole tank. It's a whole ordeal.
The joys of modified cars.
Yeah. Yeah. But I do it anyway.
It'll
Why?
be so
I don't
easy
know.
when we have electric cars and all we have to do is just turn up the volume, turn up the knob.
Charge it up more.
That's all it's going to be, man.
So-
Well, we didn't talk about your garage yet.
Yeah, I have some progress on the garage. We've got the sticks up. Basically, we have 2x4s in place, and as you can see, it's going to be a gym and a bathroom and an upper loft. So some more progress.
And it looked like you were going to get a Carrera RS, or is that what I noticed on the?
Well,
garage picture?
as you can see in my latest example, I have 2 911s and a Lambo. But yeah, no, I wanted more room, so I changed the design up a little bit. I wanted more floor space, so now, if I double lift everything, it's a 10-car garage. So
There you go.
yeah, so I'm happy about doing that. Plus, I didn't need that much loft space, so cut that back a little bit, and I'll have a nice place to hang out in too.
That'll be cool.
Is it air conditioned?
Yeah.
Oh,
Whole
I
thing.
like it already.
Mm-hmm. It's big enough that the entire RV can be fit in and the door closed behind it. Garage doors go on tomorrow.
Woohoo.
Oh,
Yeah.
keep the
Electricity
neighbors
is being
out.
run. Yeah, the power is being run. At least all the wiring's going to be run this week, and then the meter's coming in. I think on Friday, so we'll be powered up this week, and then the garage doors will work. I think the garage doors are going to be installed before there's electricity, but they're going to bring a generator to make sure all the doors work before they leave.
oh, I was gonna say, don't let those guys leave until those doors are aligned and adjusted and
Yep.
lubricated and whatever else you can think of, because
Yeah, get them to come back, right?
yeah,
No, they'll all
getting
be
them-
working. They'll be
There's
working
the
tomorrow.
difference between before they have your money service and
Yeah.
after they have your money
That's
service.
like a problem across all industries right now. People complete jobs and then don't test it out. I had the electricians at my house the other day. They were putting the light on the basketball court,
Mm-hmm.
and they had it all done up, and they were talking to me the whole time, and where I want the switch and whatever. I come home, I turn the light on, I'm like, awesome. Then I hit the light, turn it off, and I'm like, not awesome. It's not turning off.
You're like, no, it's still awesome. What's
And I was
going
like,
on?"
maybe I don't know how to work the switch, because it was one of those like remote, like the top half and bottom half switches, and so I was like, oh crap, oh, and then I started looking at the switch, and I realized the box that they put around the switch, like the waterproof box, like the plate that was on it, it's like the plate was a little bit too tight, and it was pushing the top trim down just enough that it would like the push button switch, it wasn't letting the button pop back out. So then I had to take it all apart, and I used my wife's little like fingernail file to file a little bit extra. It works fine now, but I just thought we didn't try that before we left, huh?
That would have been a simple on-off. They'd have known.
Yeah, and
They just
like
tried
I
it
really
before they
like
put
this
the-
electrician. I use him for everything, and they're good guys. And but this time I was just like, okay, we just skipped that step, because that light is too big and too bright to leave on all night.
Yeah.
I would get some neighborhood complaints.
Yeah, we have one of those lights as well, and it's like the surface of the sun at night. I mean, it lights up everything.
Yeah, it's like a big giant commercial grade LED light. I mean, it's a good light. I just need the ability to turn it off.
So that's the update.
Excellent.
Cool.
Well, I think I'm gonna send the sad Pablo memes
Again?
to Steve now.
Oh.
Steve, this is me thinking about Abilene with little sad Pablo.
Oh, well, yeah, it's not his fault.
No, it's not. It's not. Technically, it's my fault because I delayed the engine project by how long trying to get those cam housings? I mean, months.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a long shot to get your car done this year. So, all right,
Well, good news is I don't have to pay for the engine until he's done with it. So,
it's a delaying the inevitable.
mm-hmm. Although I did put money down for parts. So he's whole, but on what he's outlaid to get the parts, but
Yeah.
But I would love to pay the other part of that invoice so I can have the engine. I mean, I was thinking 210, 215 and Abilene was the thing. But I don't know. Maybe 175 out of the blue car. What do you think?
Are you 800 wheel?
7 something.
The Gintani 992. Well, I don't know what it was.
I
900.
think he
It was a
I think he
900.
was like 181-ish, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was 900. So,
But did he have turbos on that too?
yeah, he was
I have
modified.
no idea what they did to that car.
He was making 900 wheel, is what he told me.
I looked at that car and I kind of had this air of I can't afford it. I can't even look at it. I don't even want to know about it because otherwise I'm just going to get myself in trouble. And then it happened anyway. So,
And now you're definitely in trouble. So that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy for both of you. I cannot wait to get something a bit more modern and not such an event car. So, all right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of So You Think Your Car is Fast, episode 24. Right? Did we establish that?
yes, yes, we
So,
can count that high.
Yeah. We're doing an episode roughly once every 2 weeks.
And
on
we're
average.
gonna do more. What do we have coming? I know we have some things coming. What are we gonna say? What do we have coming?
Well, I mean, if we go to Abilene, we got lots to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we got some people coming on, right?
Oh, guests. Yeah, we're gonna have some guests. So we'll announce those guests when we have them firmed up. So
We do have one verbally firmed up for right after Abilene.
yeah.
And that one could be really interesting depending on what happens at Well, it'll be interesting anyway, but it could be extremely interesting depending on what happens at Abilene.
Absolutely. All right, boys. Well, we'll
Okay.
see you next time.
okay. Drive safe.
Thank you for listening to So You Think Your Car is Fast podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And please leave us a review on your favorite podcast app.